the way that we think about money has a lot more to do with our ability to get it than our skills, frankly. One of the things that blocks people, in my opinion, at least in the early stages, is their beliefs about their ethical, moral beliefs about money, their philosophical beliefs about money. So just, we don't have to break up into groups again, just call out, you know, something that you were brought up to believe about money that you maybe isn't so beneficial for actually making it.
Personally, money is selfish.
Money is selfish, okay.
Making money takes away from the people who actually need it.
Okay.
Live for the weekends.
Live for the weekends, yeah. Did you have one, Paul? No.
You cannot serve both God and money.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot serve both God and money.
Who created money? Meanwhile, the church has like donation bowls.
So, so give it to us.
In that case, money might be selfish.
Guilt when we spend money sometimes, you know, especially like when you buy something that's like not 100% necessary, like food, we just kind of feel guilty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Money is scarce in the world.
Money is scarce, yeah. Yeah, so I have a little list just really quick.
Doesn't grow on trees.
Oh, also one more.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's typed into a computer.
The use of money for resources that humans use destroys the earth.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this is that all those things are partially true. Depends on the perspective you take. And there are really selfish ways to use money. There are ways to use money that is a loss for someone else and a gain for you. There are ways to use money that destroys the earth. There are ways to use money that, frankly, we should feel guilty about. If some of the higher-ups felt more guilty, the world would be a better place. Like, guilt is a super useful emotion. It tells you when you're doing something wrong. So a few that I had written down here, we already discussed, like, money is evil, right? It's the same thing as, like, is food evil? No, it's food, right? Like, it's something you eat to survive. In the same way, money is neither good nor bad. It typically is just an amplifier. So if there's badness and selfishness and ill will already, and you charge that guy up with a whole bunch of money, that's only going to amplify what's already there. He's typically going to become more not in all cases, of course, but typically that selfishness is going to grow and be amplified. Sort of like when you give somebody steroids and they become angry, well, there was just anger there. It's like strength, juicing up the system. So in the same way, if you give somebody who's really good more money, they're only going to be able to do more good. Would anybody here have a problem giving like $1 million to, or if society gave $1 million to Mother Teresa or Gandhi or something, like, hey, go do with this whatever you think is best. And we trust them. So in those hands, money is good. In the hands of somebody else, you could list a whole bunch of names, probably not so good, right? So money is evil. And again, if you believe that money is evil, how likely is it that you're going to be able to make money? You're going to be stopping yourself at every turn, psychologically, consciously or unconsciously. The other one here is money doesn't matter. I remember this, like, a girl texting me this in high school or something, and I was like, what are you talking about? Money doesn't matter. Money is like what, okay, do you want to have, if you have $0, tell me what you're going to do. Tell me how long you're going to last. It's like, again, does food matter? Yeah. Is food the purpose of life, or maybe besides Weston? So if you believe money doesn't matter, how much money are you going to be able to accumulate? Probably not a whole lot. Another one, money is hard to make. This is like super widespread. It's just money is hard to come by. Money doesn't grow on trees is like the sort of the battle cry of those who believe it's super hard to make. And Dan Kennedy actually is a marketing teacher. He's this old cranky guy. He's a good marketing teacher though. And I read once in one of his books something really surprising. He's like, what do you think is the commonality between most of the wealthiest people in the world, people who have gone on to accumulate a lot of wealth? What do you think the common theme is? What they all have in common? Not their ability to think. There's a lot of dumb people who have a lot of money.
Service or giving value?
Definitely not.
They just say money's easy to make. They just, abundance checks abundance.
It's just easy for them to make it.
Bankruptcy.
Fearless.
Bankruptcy or near bankruptcy. Because, and there's a long list of super wealthy people like Walt Disney. I wish I'd written down the list. There's this long list in the book of super wealthy people who have lost it all or almost lost it all and gone bankrupt. And his reasoning anyway was that bankruptcy teaches you that money is totally fluid. You can lose it all, get it all back, and it's like, it's almost like, playing with puzzle pieces or dominoes. It's like this imaginary concept. It's way easier to make money than most people think. It's not this super scarce resource that we have to hoard. And it stunned me actually, because like I went through that process with my business partner where we were doing really well and then overnight we're in debt. I'm like, whoa, that was a fast turnaround. And what it taught me through all of that is just not to be scared of money. It's like, it's totally fluid. Even if you were like $1 million in debt, how many people do you know making way over $1 million a year in profit that could just like pay that off, no big deal?
A lot of people.
A lot of people, right? So, point is, one of the points I've been trying to make here is that money is just a lot easier than you think. And there's no shortage of people who don't think at the level that any of you guys do who are making all kinds of money. I'm sure you guys know lots of them, you know?
Little fact, 40% of all fake money or just money ever created was made out of thin air in the last 2 years. And they just printed it and made it poof out of nowhere.
Yeah.
4%. Yeah. All
Pretty
dollars
easy to make,
ever.
right?
They just typed in the computer and made it happen and printed it off.
I want to look up the list of these
If
bankruptcy.
it's scarce, like no, they can just make more. And people look at like Elon Musk, he's got a lot of money, right? Just a fraction of what they printed in the last 2 years. Like, if you look at the people hate the wrong bad guys. Like, anyways, there's just so much of it out there.
What was the stat? 40% of people.
40% of all
money
money,
in
like
in
currency in existence, was created in the last since COVID started. So,
Wow.
yeah, kind of crazy.
That's wild.
That's why we're seeing all this inflation stuff now. But
Yeah.
anyways,
I was wondering where all the emergency funds came from anyway.
yeah, just
On the
out of
computer.
thin air, honestly.
So, 9 famous people that went bankrupt before they were rich. Abraham Lincoln, Dave Ramsey. Does anybody know who that is? He's a financial expert, believe it or not. MC Hammer. Walt Disney. P.T. Barnum. Anybody know who that is? P.T. Barnum. That what's that movie called again? The Greatest Showman? That's a banger.
It is a banger.
George Foreman. Cyndi Lauper. I don't know who that is.
Cindy Lauper?
Cyndi Lauper?
Singer.
Singer. Okay. Willie Nelson.
Oh yeah.
Elton John. You know, like 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy. There's a long list of people, including Dan Kennedy.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and made it all back and more. He's like, it was the best thing that happened. Best thing that happened.
It's fascinating.
Frankly, it almost happened to me. You know?
Down the brink.
Yeah. Here's a big one. Money is made by working harder.
That's
Oh yeah.
big one. I think that is.
That's bullshit.
Believe it or not, it has very little to do with it. And the people who generate a lot of wealth are not actually doing the things that are generating the wealth itself. So, for example, like a high-level investor, let's say Warren Buffett, do you think he's like balancing the checkbooks for all the companies he's invested in and working on the floor of the factories himself? He's just writing them checks. That's it. He's thinking and chilling and like having McDonald's with Bill Gates and stuff, playing cards, like, but he's not in there working. And I promise you too, there are janitors in the world that work just as many hours as Elon Musk. There are factory workers, coal miners, people who work brutal jobs, some of the hardest workers in the world. And they're just above the poverty line or like below average income. So how hard you work has very little to do with it. It has far more, everything to do really with how well you think and how you think about money. And for me, like it was almost confusing at first in the EGT days. In the beginning, I worked very, very hard. And then there was this period of time where I was sort of just cruising. I was like, I'd write a daily email. It's fun, go to a coffee shop, have a coffee, knock out an email, maybe like answer a couple emails or whatever. And then I was like, what do I do now? And we're doing 6 figures a month. And I'm like, what do I do? I started getting bored. That's why we built up this big team and hired Drew Hanlon and Alan Stein. I'm like, I'm bored. I don't know what to do with myself. And what I realized is that it's not about how hard you work, it's about what work that you do. And there's this way Warren Buffett put it in sort of a poetic way. It's not how hard you row, it's the boat you're in. And tells this story about a steel worker or someone that he grew up with who was really intelligent. They came up through school together. He said just as intelligent as him, just went into the steel industry, whereas Warren went on to start Berkshire Hathaway. And their wealth is like, I mean, this guy's not even in the stratosphere of Warren Buffett. So again, it's not how hard you row, it's the boat you're in. And how much you work, how many hours you put in has very little to do with how much money you make. And the goal really is that, this is a like thing to write down, is that the goal is to get to the point where you're not trading time for money. You're not getting paid per hour. You're not, this is partially why I was like, I don't really do that. When you asked, do you do personal coaching or something? I'm like, not really, because that's just time for money. I'd rather create deep game, and then that just generates revenue for as long as I want. Create EGT generates revenue for, it's time in once, money for as long as I keep that online. So the goal ultimately is to sort of build these money-making machines, so to speak, that are generating revenue without you putting more of your time into them. There's an upfront cost in time and attention and energy, but once it's built, like a small business, for example, if you're working in the business every single day, say you start a corner store, and you are working in the business every day, stocking the shelves, like working the cash register, ultimately you're just trading your time for money. That corner store is going to grow a lot faster if you have other people stocking the shelves, working the cash register, and you go and like replicate that, start another corner store, another corner store, another corner store, and you're not actually working in any of them. And ultimately, you can hire somebody to start the corner stores for you using your intellectual property and your system for starting corner stores. And then you can go start bowling alleys. And this is how it grows, but these guys aren't actually working in any of those businesses. They're just using their mind. And well, in some cases they're funding them, but then maybe they go out and get external funding. So they're not even doing the money side of it. This is where the mind controls it. It's like, how big can you think? How creatively can you think?
That was Steve Jobs, wasn't it?
In what sense?
Like he didn't know anything about much of the engineering of the phone or the computer.
Oh yeah, Steve wasn't a programmer. Well,
Just like the businessman, he had the ideas and like.
I mean, he did understand some engineering early on, but like by the time Apple was really big, he wasn't, no. He would go in and like play around with products and like go talk to people. He's just in this creative flow all day long. Yeah. Let's see what else I got here. Money's made by working harder, graduate from trading time for money. And finally, I mean, this should be obvious, but money will make me happy. Like, money's only going to solve your money problems. If you've got problems in your relationship, money's not going to solve it. I found that out the hard way. It's like, but I'm making all this money, why?
Why don't you
Yeah. We probably don't have to get deeper into that one with this group anyway.